So last week, Statistics Canada reported that while people of color generally have a higher level of education, they tend to have lower paying jobs. Let that just sink in for a moment, because it seems like logic doesn't apply here, but racial bias does. So when trying to make sense of these things, we often turn to Dr. MYRNA LASHLEY. She's an associate professor in the Department of Psychiatry at McGill. And listen, if I start trying to list all of her achievements, we're going to be here all day. So we'll just say thank you, MYRNA, for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Happy New Year to you and Aaron.
Happy New Year to you.
And to you. So I feel like, in reading this information from Statistics Canada, I feel like it's information that we kind of knew in the back of our heads, but kind of hoped wasn't true. How do you explain these findings, MYRNA?
Well, I, with all due respect, I love you. So
Yes.
Take what I say within that space.
Always.
Okay? I love you.
I love you back.
Okay. You had it in the back of your head. We had it in our bones,
Yes.
in our reality. And that is the whole thing about privilege. It's what you don't have to do. We've known this all along. Nothing new here for us. We've known this all along. We've known that we get treated differently. We've known we're judged differently. We've known for a long time that we're not seen as having knowledge that our less melanated colleagues have. And so, when we do get hired, there's a greater expectation on us from those who are less melanated and from those who have the same level of melanation, because we're often expected to be representing our group. Black and brown people are often expected to be representing our group, and our group often expects us to represent them. So it's a lot of pressure, and we don't get the same respect. We don't get hired the same way. We don't get the same salaries, except, of course, in unionized workshops. That's a whole different ballgame. But this is known.
As I hear you say this, and I understand, from a completely different perspective, as a person of non-color who never really would have thought of this, I just assumed, ignorant or naive perhaps as I may be, that, your qualifications were your qualifications. If that's what you had, you would get paid the same. I never saw that as an issue, and you're saying you've always seen this as an issue. So I'm a little struck by that. I would ask the question, though, and maybe it's unfair, MYRNA, to ask, have things gotten better at least over the years, or are we in the same place do you still think we were then as we are now?
Oh, no, we've gotten better. Look, especially since the murder of George Floyd. A lot of corporations are pulling up their socks. As I said, this doesn't always obtain within unionized shops. I mean, at the university you get paid the same thing. I mean, it's a unionized thing. That's not the issue. But it's just getting your foot in the door, even at universities, to get your foot in the door first, to get hired. Now, there are those who will resort to false equivalency and say, well, it's difficult for all of us. True, it's difficult for everybody, but it's more difficult for others. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to worry about whether your color or, your hairstyle or what have you is going to be used against you. And you don't have to be constantly worrying about your diction and having to switch codes all the time. All of these things come into play when you don't have to worry about those things, because that's where the privilege comes in, and not having to worry about those things. Right. So, yes, once you're inside the university, which is a unionized shop, you get paid the same thing. But getting in and then being treated the same way inside and being offered the same courses and getting the same promotions and being seen as somebody who could become the head of a department, those things that's a whole different ballgame. You have to play a different game.
Yeah, this idea of having to, I suppose, work harder for less. It's just so fundamentally wrong. And so then I wonder, when this information, when it's confirmed by Statistics Canada, what do we do with this? Like, how do we make something good come of this information, MYRNA?
Well, I think one of the things that we have to do is that those of us who have privilege, and I'm not talking about skin color here, okay? Those of us who have some modicum of privilege have always got to look and see who's coming up behind us, who's standing next to us, and make sure we make space for them. And if we get told, you always get told, well, there's no space. I always tell people, don't tell me that your table is too small. Build a bigger table. Let's make space. Let's see people for who they are. Let's incorporate cultures and all of these things into our workplace. We have a responsibility, those of us who've made it to some level, to reach back and help those coming up. And very often, those who are coming up are young people. They're our children. They're our grandchildren. And we have to make sure that by the way we conduct ourselves, we make space for them. We make it a little bit easier. It's going to be harder for us. We have to go into this expecting that it's going to be harder for us, especially if we're the first ones in the door. Just accept it. But do what you can to make it easier for those coming up. Look around. Look at your space. Who's in it? Who's not in it? And ask yourself, I know I'm here, but what have I done to help others, and what will I do to help others? I'm not telling you to give up your space. I would never tell you that. But I will tell you to advocate for others to share that space with you. Don't just hog it and say, it's mine and too bad for you.
What kind of onus is on employers to create equity in the workplace?
Oh, a big onus is on employers. And part of it has to do even with the interview process, because the interview process is based on Eurocentricity. The questions that we ask, the way we expect people to respond, the body language we expect people to employ. We do not create culturally safe spaces. And we don't have the cultural humility necessary to create culturally safe spaces. Cultural humility means that you recognize that you don't know everything, that your space in society, being born above the line, have all these privileges, you don't know everything about everybody. So you need to know that. You need to learn what you don't know, and then you need to employ it. And do the right thing. And only then can you create a culturally safe space, by recognizing that you don't know. And here's the thing, and I tell everybody this. It's not up to you to say, I've created a culturally safe space. It's up to the person with whom you're interacting to tell you, you know what? I feel culturally safe with you. I feel comfortable with you. I feel that you're hearing me. I feel that the questions you're posing to me in this interview are really questions that are there to help me get the job, not to give me a job I don't deserve, but to give me the same equity, the same chances that you're giving to somebody else. You may have to phrase your question a little differently. You may have to realize that the fact that I'm not looking you in the eye doesn't mean that you can't trust me, or that I'm a thief, or that I don't know what I'm doing. But recognize that maybe I've been brought up to believe this is a sign of respect, that I don't look you in the eye. I was brought up, don't do that. Or you may need to understand that I'm afraid, I'm anxious, because I've been to so many damn interviews and get asked questions that have got nothing to do with me. I was at an interview, and somebody a few weeks ago, and somebody started talking to me about, do I know this person from Barbados? I'm going, what are you talking about?
What did you say, Myrna? I'm just thinking, because you are a very patient person, and like I said, we always learn so much from you. What did you say in that circumstance?
I just looked at him and said, is this person part of my family?
Why would you think I would know them? Right.
I said, is this person part of my family? And the thing is, I wasn't looking for a job. I don't need a job. They wanted to talk to me about something, about whether I would do this thing for them. So we went through the interview process. And they spent all their time telling me that they'd been to Barbados and and did I know this person?
All right.
And yet, Myrna, you don't get discouraged. You know how much work there is still to do, and you help us do the work. As always, your time is so appreciated. Yep. You're just, I worship at the altar.
We both love having you on, just so you know.
We do. I love talking with you.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
All
Bye.
Right. There you go.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That's Dr. MYRNA LASHLEY. She is she's an associate professor in the Department of Psychiatry in McGill.
Wow.